Hello, we are live. By we, I mean me. So welcome. I'm going to go ahead and hit record as we get going. So let's get. All right. Well, happy Sunday night. For some of you, you might have an extended weekend because we have a holiday coming up for Martin Luther King Day. I have tomorrow off, so I'm super excited. So to me, it kind of feels like Saturday night. But I'm super excited to be with you guys tonight live. I had a live scheduled last week and I had to record it because I was not feeling well. So hopefully you all saw that video. It was called 99 Reasons to Party. And I've sent out the replay if you are on our artsy list. And hey, Rosalind, good to see you. Happy Sunday night. Thanks for being on. Tonight, our topic is going to be about I'm not an artist. How can I lead paint parties, right? Like it probably seems really absurd to you to think that, oh, I can go lead paint parties, but I'm not even an artist. So I'm here to tell you 14 years I've been doing paint parties for part-time paint parties, and I'm not an artist. And today I like to think that I'm more of an artist. That's why I like the word artsy, right? Because I'm artsy, I'm crafty, and not crafty. And I like to do things and I can follow instructions and I like to make cute and pretty things. And I love all those types of things. So yeah, but what I want to stay away from is like telling you everything that I am, because what I have been long enough in this business, I have seen a lot of people with a variety of characteristics and their heart and their reason for coming into this business. But I want to just start to jog your mind, to get into your mind and to think about like what attributes are of you or what characteristics do you have that you can begin to build upon if you're really interested in building this type of business. Because what I really know about this business and what I really know about building something that's your own is really it's about building up confidence to do it, right? Because underneath it all, really there's just like this fear, like this imposter syndrome, and it happens to anybody. You could be starting your own thing, doing anything, selling makeup, selling skincare, selling art supplies, selling crafts or whatever, just selling anything or doing anything. You can feel like an imposter, and I know this because I'm kind of a lifelong entrepreneur. I've done a lot of different things in my life. I remember the day I turned 18, I signed up to sell Avon. Yeah, fun story. My mom was an Avon lady when I was growing up younger. And so whenever the materials would come to our house at like 7 a.m., they would get delivered. I would like open the box and I fell in love with like the catalogs and the stuff that people were ordering, the nail polish and the makeup. And so I was like, how old do you have to be to do this? And the day I turned 18, that was what I did. I signed up to sell Avon. And so it's like within me, like ingrained in me to just be entrepreneurial and to just take a risk. And I guess that's where we're going to start, right? Is that someone that you might think of yourself? Now, I don't want to scare you away with talking about being an entrepreneur because, like I said, I have come across a lot of different personalities who would never really consider themselves entrepreneurial. And that's the other part about being an entrepreneur is that word like solopreneur comes in, and you think you got to do this business by yourself. And so what I like to say is you are in business for yourself, but you are not in business by yourself, right? You have people like me who are going to come alongside you to continue to encourage you and coach you along as you are learning to build this business. And so, like Rosalind, thanks for joining the call. Rosalind's been watching our videos and is in the Art Association now and is getting coaching. I've been texting with her, right, to help her build up her confidence and how she's doing things. And let me tell you what, anytime you try something new, of course it's hard. Like when we first learned how to crawl, walk, ride a bike, when you learn a brand new recipe, yes, it's hard. You have to learn how to do new things, but then you build on top of them, right? And you get better and better. And before you know it, like I could throw a paint party together tonight if someone called me and was like, can I have a paint party tomorrow, painting whatever, right? Because I have learned over the past 14 years obviously how to do a paint party, and I have supplies. I could throw a photo booth together just like that if I needed to. So it does get easier, but of course it's hard to start, and that's always going to be the biggest barrier that you have is getting started. And so I want to encourage you tonight. I want to kind of keep it simple. I created 3 categories. If you're not going to be an artist, then what are 3 things that you do need to be? Right? Do need to be. And then within those 3 categories, I'll talk about some characteristics that will be helpful. I do have a couple of images too to keep me from just being the only one on the screen. But the 3 things, the number one thing that you really need to be, if I were to say anything, is to be an entrepreneur, right? That is ultimately what you are, because you are building something for yourself and building a new system, building some new things. And so the most important thing about being an entrepreneur is, are you teachable and are you coachable? Do you have those characteristics? Are you willing to learn from somebody else? Are you a good learner? Are you going to be able to watch some of these videos? Are you going to be able to go learn some videos on like and do some research on the supplies that you might want, right? Are you willing to go learn about this easel and these brushes and which ones are better to buy, right? It takes learning to do that. Now we try to take some of that learning out of this for you. If you're in the association, we have a supply guide. We know what works. You can go watch the supply video where I give you some of those answers, but you have to be willing to go watch that, right? And sometimes we do have like ADHD because we have the TikTok brain, right? Like where we want to watch fast and quick videos. And so you have to settle yourself down to actually like follow a system and be coachable. So what I want to show you on this screen now is I want to just show you some of the resources that we have at Artsy, and to show you where you would like learn if you were within Artsy. And again, you may not, be in Artsy. Let's see, I want to just make sure my right screen is showing. So give me 1 second. As soon as my screen catches up, I just want to make sure. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is what we call, I just want to show you our video collection. And we have all these different videos, right? And whether you join Artsy or you're just deciding to be an entrepreneur and try to figure this out on your own, the reality is, I mean, that might be why you're on this video, right? You're willing to go watch some videos. You can go absolutely search YouTube and find other people who are training. And so this is our system that we have within Artsy. When you go into what we call Artsy Academy, it's entitled something that you're learning, right? We have all of our courses and different resources within these modules. And so the main one we call is Paint Party 101. So if you're learning how to do a paint party business, you got to do Paint Party 101, right? And so these are different modules. So yeah, you're going to need to set apart some time to learn, right? Especially when you're learning something new. Now, even if you're already doing paint parties, you're still always learning something new. There's new trends, there's new materials, there's new things that you need to learn for your industry. And so you got to think to yourself, okay, am I going to do this part-time? Yeah, but it might take a little bit more time to set it up. And eventually it is absolutely part-time. And I don't want to overwhelm you, because doing the paint party is actually really simple. And but we have a lot of details for you, because we don't know what part we need to fill in the gap for you, right? So you could be coming in with a little bit of a business brain and more creative brain, and we're going to fill in that gap. Or you might be coming in with, more business and very little artistic talent or event planning talent. And so we got to fill in that side of your, fill in that gap for you. So you can see here how we have all of these different types of training. And I would say even like marketing, you're like, hey, I can put a paint party together, no problem, but I need to figure out how to market to my customer, right? So we have what we call marketing head start. The other area that we have is, we call this Artsy Studio. And so the Artsy Studio is where you're going to come find all of these different tools that we have for you to be able to find the resources that you need. You need to find painting instructions, you need to find discount codes, you need to find all of these different things. You're going to find that in what we call the Artsy Studio. You can kind of find those things here on these drop downs. And so we have a lot of resources to help you as an entrepreneur, so that you're not trying to figure out all of these things on your own. And I'm not just doing these videos to promote the association. Of course, it's very helpful. But I am here to help you like learn how to shortcut the process to getting going and to getting started, and to be able to figure out your niche, your target audience, and what your vibe is going to be. Like, what do you want to even name your paint party business? And so you got to start dreaming about that. If you're an entrepreneur, I hear all these stories, entrepreneurs like go draw on napkins and brainstorm. And tonight is Sunday night. I don't know what you have going on, but if if you have some time to just dream, like, what do you want to call your business? What is the dream of you wanting to have this paint party business? And an entrepreneur has that heart, but again, that fear comes in and that imposter syndrome comes in, things like, who do you think you are, right? So another part of being an entrepreneur is you're being surrounded by other people who are like-minded with you, right? Who are like, yes, you can do it. And you got to find other people who are either entrepreneurs or in the same industry as you. And we like to provide that through the Artsy Association too, is we like to call each other paintpreneurs, right? We're entrepreneurs, but we're painting. So artpreneur, paintpreneur, something like that. So that's who you need to be. You need to be teachable, coachable, have a coach who's willing to coach you. You need to be able to ask for feedback and apply it as well. So those are some of our resources that we have if you're an entrepreneur. And here's a tip. The best business owners aren't the ones who know it all. They're the ones willing to learn and to adapt, right? And especially I've been in this business for 14 years. You have to learn how to change and grow, as your ideal customer changes or as the industry changes. Got to know when to raise your prices, got to know when to change supplies, all of those different things that happen when you're an entrepreneur. And so if it scares you to be an entrepreneur, you're in good company. A lot of people started out that way, and any business that you love, any single business started because someone just had this heart for that product or that service, right? And so you got to ask yourself why you want to do this. And I will tell you, when I started, I wanted to stay at home to be with my boys who were in middle school. And I wanted to just do something really fun and easy and make good money. I did not want to go work at a part-time place. I always thought if I worked anywhere part-time, I might want to go work at like Michael's or, Hobby Lobby or something. I'd spend my whole paycheck there because I love crafty things and decorative things, right? And I don't want to make minimum wage part-time work. And so you got to make it worth your time if you're going to be looking for part-time money that actually makes like full-time pay. You can definitely do that if you're an entrepreneur and willing to hustle and learn. All right, number two. So number one was being an entrepreneur. If you're not an artist, you got to be an entrepreneur. Number two is if you're not an artist, then you also got to be an event planner. Now that might scare you too, because you're like, bridezillas, or like you're planning a wedding. Kind of, sort of. But the cool thing is you're planning the same kind of event every single time, right? So you're going to become the professional paint party event planner. Okay. And what that means is an event planner, if you've never met an event planner, right? Pay attention to the wedding planner in the background, go to a catered event, go to some sort of conference, and you're going to see the event planner running around all over the place. Usually they're wearing all black, right? I actually do wear all black usually to my paint parties. But an event planner is someone who has amazing customer service, right? And they want to have great customer service for their hostess or whoever's paying them for that event, right? And so in your paint party world, you are great customer service for maybe that restaurant you're partnering with, or that woman who's having you over for a birthday party for her best friend, right? And so it's that good customer service, and you're trying to help them make their dream come alive. Now, here's the thing. Some people don't even know how paint parties work. So your job sometimes is giving them more than they even expected. That's what I love. When I show up and they're like, wow, I didn't even think it was going to be like this, right? So an event planner, and this is probably one of my greatest strengths, right? The reason I knew I was a good event planner was I had 3 kids and we had birthday parties. I'm like a Mexican girl, like family parties are our gig, right? And so I know how to coordinate like the food line so that people, get their paper plate first and then they serve their food, right? Like, are you good at those types of things? Are you coachable to learn those types of things, right? So an event planner knows how early they need to arrive to set up. They know all their supplies that they need to be packing up. They have checklists. Meet any event planner, right? They have checklists. And if you've watched any of my training videos, we have a paint party checklist, right? So you don't forget any of your supplies. By the way, I see somebody has questions. How often are new painting designs added to Artsy? We try to add new ones about every quarter, Sherry. So about every quarter, and we have just hundreds of paintings as well. And so we have a huge variety of adult paintings and kids paintings. And by the way, I know this is diverging from the conversation here, but I just saw this question pop up. But we have, like, for example, we have Canvas in the Classroom. And so we come up with a whole like 9 months worth of new paintings. And we release them like at one time. So that way you have like the entire curriculum. So, and we just came out like we're having a conference coming up called Inspire Your Heart with Art Conference. So we'll release some new paintings along with that. We try to do a couple of bundles, especially around the holidays. And then we usually do a seasonal, like spring, summer release as well. So it's not as regular. I wouldn't say like we don't do it every single month. It's more like in bundles or batches. All right. So back to being an event planner. So being an event planner, this person has like checklists and they're organized, right? If you meet any event planner, they have like a supply, cabinet of things, right? If you were a wedding event planner of some sort, all the table centerpieces you need, the tablecloths you need, right? Like how to pull all those things together. And if I were ever in one of these days, of course, I'll show you my storage area, right? I just have a bunch of things that I end up bringing to paint parties. This paint party I'm getting ready for this upcoming Friday, 150 people. I have fun sunglasses, I have a fun backdrop, right? Like I just have these things, these tools in my back pocket to create an experience inside of the paint party, right? So you just add some little touches that make it an event that they're not going to really get experience anywhere else if they go, right? So that event planner kind of part of you, and again, you may not be an event planner yet, but are you teachable? Are you coachable? Can we coach you in this? You can become that person. So the most important attributes I would say of an event planner are that they're creative, they're willing to make their events unique, right? You're willing to evolve into, it's not the same old event every time. And I think my customers like that from me. And that's why they have me out year after year, because they know I'm going to bring something new or different every single time. And if you don't have ideas, that's why Artsy's here. Like I share with you all the different things that we're doing. For example, this last Christmas, we had a whole Grinch and snowman like art bar, right? Like those are different things. We've taught people how to create cocoa bars and fun things like that, that are just little elements that set you apart from the competition, from being a just like traditional painting and sipping event. The other thing is you're just fun. And like I'm sick. I have been sick all week, right? But here I am. I'm showing up in my best version. I always say we got to put our party pants on. And sometimes you're like, you've been with the kids all day long, and all of a sudden you have this paint party and you got to go pretend to be happy, but you're somewhat part an entertainer in a way, right? So I always say just put on your party pants. Or when I put on my apron, right, it's like my super cape. Like I go into paint party mode because I have to set myself aside, and I am there to help someone have an amazing, memorable first time experience. And you can do it. I promise you can. So you have to be fun, you have to be engaging. You'll start to learn fun little zingers that you'll say that at the party, like I tell my customers, as soon as they put their apron on, they're turning into artists. And I kind of make jokes and things like that that have just come along the way. And that will happen for you as well. The other thing is, the exceptional customer service, right? So your hostess is your main person. That's your main contact. So you got to get into that mindset. And I always like to get into the mindset of, say, like a mom who's planning a birthday party. If you've ever planned a birthday party for your kid, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I hope these people show up. I hope they come on time. I hope they like don't stay longer than they need to. And I just want my kid to have like the best experience, right? Like if I'm planning that. So you got to get in that mom's mindset. She wants a lot of communication. She wants to make sure if she's paying you, you're taking care of all the details. So you want to knock off her socks, right? Like you want it to make it seem like that was the best decision she made, the most effortless decision by hiring you, right? So like I try to have really clear guidelines about refunds. I do not make it hard to get a refund. I do not have deposits or things like that. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't, okay, because sometimes you should, and especially depending on your customer base. But I have just exceptional customer service, and I know this because I keep getting repeat business. So if you're not an artist, you're going to be an event planner with exceptional customer service, right? And even if you don't know how to do that, you're going to be willing to learn to do that. So when I talk about being organized and prepared, the other part is you want to be clean and professional, right? So we want to be fun. You're going to be wearing your hot pink pants or whatever your vibe is. Your vibe might not be hot pink pants. You're going to be your vibe. You might wear funky glasses. You might bring Bob Ross with you, whatever it is. And there is a real pop-up Bob Ross, by the way. I bring him to some of my parties. Um, and and your supplies are going to be clean and they're going to be professional, and your cups and brushes are not going to smell. That's exceptional service. You're also going to be clean and professional, right? So great customer service is going to get you repeat customer and referrals. All right. So if you're not going to be an artist, number one, you're going to be an entrepreneur. Number two, you're going to be part event planner, right? Number three, the third thing that you need to be is you need to be a clear and confident communicator. And this could possibly be the hardest part for you, because people would rather die by fire than speak in front of other people. Yeah, I understand that. I completely understand. I like speaking in front of people. It's natural. And I think it has always been pretty natural in me. But when I was in high school, I took like speech and debate. I took, a speech class, and I continued to work on it. And it's not easy. And so you have to actually, if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're going to add speaking and learning in here. Now, you're probably like, I just don't know what to say. Of course you don't know what to say, because you're just starting out. And that's why I'm here to help you. Like, what are you going to say? And let's break it down when I talk about communication, right? And where are you going to be communicating? Well, one, a good communicator is going to be able to tell about their business. You have to be able to tell someone what you do, right? So preparing a 30-second, a 1-minute speech about what you do, because you're going to run into somebody at a restaurant. They're going to be like, what are you up to nowadays? And you're like, I started doing these little paint parties. And I know you're going to use the word little. I know, because everyone who owns their own business calls it little. Remove the word little from your vocabulary, right? I own an awesome painting party business. Let me tell you more about it, right? Let me show you my phone that's going to tell you more about it. Oh, that's my granddaughter. And you're going to show pictures of what a paint party is, right? Because people are like, what do you mean you paint? You come paint my walls? No. So you got to be a clear communicator right from the beginning about what you do. And this means you're going to go into ChatGPT and create a script, a 30-second script, or you're going to text me and ask me what should my 30-second commercial be, and then I'm just going to use ChatGPT to tell you. And then you're going to stand in front of a mirror and you're going to practice until you get so comfortable with it and you're not stuttering it, right? You're going to get comfortable with that. So that communication starts out, but then you're going to learn how to be really good texting, phone calls, or email, right? Because a clear communicator is going to tell their hostess everything in one email, how to host the best party, right? So you need to have that email outlined so your hostess knows exactly what to expect at that paint party. And this is why we have templates for those things, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel on that. The other type of clear communicating that you need is just being professional in your phone calls and in your texts, right? And you're not going to be shortcutting things that people don't understand in texting. And so learning how to be professional, a professional communicator, and that confidence is going to come. And I know what that's like when you're a brand new entrepreneur. Maybe you don't do this type of work, but you got to start practicing how to do that, right? And clearly confident, articulate your message. Now, of course, the biggest part of communication is actually leading the paint party, which is why you're on this call. Because you're like, oh, if you don't have to be an artist, then how am I going to instruct this painting party, right? And that is being able to stand in front of everyone in a room at a table and being able to articulate about the painting. Okay. Now, here's the most important thing about articulating at the paint party, what's going to happen, right? It's the same party. It's the same thing every single time. So the first few parties are the hardest ones, because that's when you're learning how to articulate what you're going to tell them, right? But you have a format. You tell them what the painting's about. You put them at ease, because they're nervous as heck. They're getting ready to paint. So as much as you think they're focusing so much on you, they're actually focused on themselves. They're nervous about themselves. So that's one of the tricks, is you just got to set them at ease, make them feel comfortable with you, that you're not a mean teacher and that you're not going to be, they're not going to get made fun of. And you're really there to put them at ease as they're getting ready to paint. And your goal is to really tell them how easy the painting is, right? And so I'm going to show you on screen one of our most popular paintings, and I'm going to show you some of the instructions and show you how that clear communication comes from the steps that we share in the instructions, okay? The other part, and when I'll get to that here in a second, is you can have note cards. I know it seems weird, but you absolutely can have note cards that help you as you learn how to do this. And you'll start to remember the outline of a paint party, right? You're going to remember the steps to a paint party, right? The first step is introducing who you are and why they're there. And you put the attention on the hostess and why she's hosting you, and that we're just going to have fun and set it at ease. And this is what we're doing with the food. This is what we're doing with the drink. This is what the night's going to look like as we get painting, right? That's the event planner in you. You're simply telling them how it's going to go. And so the next part then, of course, is instructing the painting itself. Now, what I want you to remember, you're not an artist, but you have sampled the painting, right? So never go to a paint party in which you've never practiced the painting before. You need to practice it ahead of time so that you actually know how it feels. You actually know whether it's easy or hard to make that moon or that gradient background or whatever. And once you learn it, you're following the instructions and you're making your own notes along the side of the instructions to say, actually, this is actually what I'm going to tell my customer, because the instruction said I should make a circle first, and I realized I think I should make it next, right? It might work differently for you. And that's why you get to determine the flow of that. So let me just start to show you my screen. Let me pull this up. I'm going to share that screen. Okay. So I do want to just show you on my screen here, of course, I have Bob Ross, okay, because he's real, like a pop-up Bob Ross that I have. I take him. The reason I have this picture on here is because I'm wearing my Elton John glasses and my Bob Ross wig, and that was for an online party, so it was just in my office, but I don't wear wigs and things like that to my parties usually. I'll pull out some props and fun things just to be fun, but not all the time. All right, so, but these are the instructions, and I'm going to try to make sure this is big for you guys on the screen. And so this painting is called Color of Night, and it's one of the easiest paintings in our gallery. And this is when I tell new paintpreneurs is, find a handful of paintings that you're going to be really good at, that are like great for all ages, great for all demographics. And like, this might be the only painting that you offer to your people in the first 3 parties that you start, right? And that's okay, because you're going to get really good at it and you're going to get really confident at this before you try experimenting with like 10 other paintings. And so Color of Night is one of those paintings. Like, it's just a timeless treasure that we have. All ages can paint it, super easy. And as you can see, I put some of our instructions here so that way when you paint it, you're learning these instructions, right? And you're going to take some of these exact words and phrases as you explain them to your customers. But your customers are more visual. They're there for a visual experience, right? And so you might be saying, paint a gray circle about 3 inches in diameter in the upper middle portion of the canvas, right? This is going to be the moon. You can say 5 inches, 6 inches. It doesn't matter. They're looking at you to see what 3 inches is, right? And so you're going to just start to make that circle and they're going to be watching you, right? And if your kids are younger, sometimes you have to start saying things like, don't take too much paint, right? Like, just take a little paint, start out small. So you'll start to learn those, and you're going to learn those simply by doing your own painting. And so as you can see, I just wanted you to see some of the instructions so that you can see how we offer them, step by step. And some paintings do also come with video tutorials. Not a lot of them have video tutorials, so I don't want to set you up for that. But this particular painting, I know we have a video sample of it somewhere, right? For you to be able to learn. So I just wanted to show you the instructions. I'm not going to go through all of them because it tells you step by, like, all the paint colors that you're going to need. It tells you that the painting is vertical. It tells you what color of brush. Now, if you didn't know this, at Artsy, we have our own colored tip brushes. And that way you can tell your customers which brush to be using as well. So I wanted to share that with you because you're going to be explaining the painting, right? But you're not an artist who came up with this. And what I also mean by you're not an artist is you're not like, hey, the lighting from the moon is going to add these shadows and this, illumination on the, car on you're not teaching any painting techniques, right? Now, of course, we do say we're going to add some white specks to this because the moon is reflecting, right? And so we're adding those elements to the painting, but it was already included in the instructions. That wasn't something that you had to invent yourself. Okay. So I don't know if that helps you or encourages you. And all I can tell you is about speaking is it just simply takes practice. And if you haven't watched some of my other videos about like those first 3 paint parties, your first 3 paint parties are golden, right? Like that's you're going to invite your friends, you're going to practice in front of them, even a small paint party with 2 or 3 people. It's just going to help you start to learn the what you need to be able to say in front of them. Now, one of my absolute favorite things that I did in my life that have helped me become a better speaker is what's called Toastmasters. And I've actually thought about doing this for Artsy and our Artsy members. Is Toastmasters is a place where people go to become more confident speakers. Now, most of those people are looking to become speakers in some way, but it helps you learn how to stop saying and like and just become a more clear and confident communicator. And so if you have that available to you, maybe that's some part of your training process, because I promise you, you can overcome fears of speaking. It simply just takes a lot of practice and willingness to be vulnerable. And once you learn it, you learn how to confidently tell who you are and what you do. It just becomes second nature. And that's what I love about our business, because even though I've been doing this for 14 and a half years, and some elements of the paint party have been enhanced or a little different, quite honestly, not a whole lot has changed in the paint party world. It's the same kind of structure, it's the same kind of outline. And so once you learn it, it's not something that you continuously have to keep learning. I will tell you though, when you're in front of different audiences, you're like, I have painted, with people who are just like me, right? They're just like me. And then I've painted in front of a table of lawyers. They're all lawyers sitting at the table. So yeah, it's a little bit daunting sometimes, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I'm like in a room with lawyers. Or if the room gets really quiet, or if somebody does get a little fussy about their painting, you do have to become like get into customer service mode, right? And so that was, by the way, oh, that's my 4th bonus. I have a 4th bonus for you. So let's go back and rewind the training, right? If you're not going to be an artist, you're going to be an entrepreneur. The second thing you're going to be is the event planner. And the third thing you're going to be is a clear and confident communicator. Now, if you ever watch any of my videos, I never just keep it at the 3, right? The 4th bonus one that I want to tell you is the 4th thing you have to be or have is chutzpah, right? It's like that grit. It's the determination to make this work. And it actually goes right into that entrepreneur one. But what I want to say about this one is you are a problem solver. Like, my name is Maria. No one solves a problem like Maria, right? And so you have to be willing to think on your feet sometimes, and that could absolutely be scary. But one thing I always say is, like, we're doing a paint party. We're not like trying to solve the war. And so you have to have that determination to push through challenges. And sometimes you do leave an event and you're like, man, that was a little tough, right? Or those kids were out of control, or that mom was overbearing or something. And then you're going to be like, I won't do that again, or I'm going to get better at that, right? And so that determination and pushing through those challenges, I remember showing up at an event and forgetting my paper towels or something like that. You got to like think on your feet. And so that then I was like, I'm never leaving without a checklist again, right? So you have to be able to have to fail forward, right? You have to be able to fail forward sometimes. And you have to just remember that you're always in learning mode. So that grit means that you're going to show up even when you don't feel like it. The determination means you're going to push through those challenges. And the confidence is that you believe in yourself and it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. And so you can be here, especially I know that some of you are like excited to get this going. If I could just speak into the depths of your heart, like it's absolutely worth it, like absolutely worth pushing through those challenges. And what I'd like to say, the last thing I'll say as I close is, um, so if you wonder if you'll be good at this, right, is some of the people that I've seen have that servant heart, right? It's the servant heart. You're the one at an event that picks up and cleans up. You're helping the hostess pick up and clean up, right? You're serving people. It's that natural server. Some of my best people that I love when I go work is when I work at a restaurant, because the servers there, I'm like, you should do paint parties, right? Because they're always picking up and doing things. And that's ultimately, once you get people guiding, getting through the paint party, while they're doing that, you're actually serving them. You're getting them more paint. You're cleaning out paint water. You're picking up after them. And so you have to have that willingness to be like a servant or a server. I always say servant heart. So sorry if that comes across that way. The other thing is, if like you're used to juggling like a bunch of kids, right? Like that's why a lot of stay-at-home moms can do this business, because they are dealing with a bunch of kids and spills and things like that. If you can do that, also great. Teachers are just naturally fantastic, right? And I'm not a formal teacher necessarily in any capacity, but when I grew up, I wanted to be a teacher, right? We all had that little heart where like, I want to teach someone how to do something. That naturally within you, that natural, I want to teach you how to do something. Also a really good heart for this business. And then the last one is like, if you really just wanted to be Mary Poppins, right? Put your Mary Poppins hat on. You're like, I have an activity for you, right? Like if you like to do fun things and bring activities, this is also something that you could do. So channel that Mary Poppins as well. All right. Well, I think this business is absolutely worth it. I know this business has transformed tons of people in the sense of having a great time, creating memories, spending time with their girlfriends. Like I know that this business is worth it and worth that fight. And so I'm here to help you create a life you love using art. Any more questions that you have on this video, simply type them in the chat. Send us a message. If you get our email, send us a message. So it has been so great. I hope this has been encouraging for you. You don't need to be an artist to do this paint party business. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, or have a great week, because the weekend's actually over. All right. Talk to you soon.